Hey guys, how's it going? And today what we are doing is we're replacing the plastic valve cover on our 1983 Jeep J10. It has a 258 cubic inch engine in it, or the 4.2 liter, and it's kind of a pain to get this valve cover off. There's a nut in the back, there's a bolt in the back, and it's a pain to get out. I had to use a nut driver because it was just the perfect skinny length to get back there. So that's what I ended up doing. It really sucked, though, so just be prepared to fight with it for a while. There's a lot of extra lines that are moving out of the way. I did another bypass, therefore I don't have to have these lines. That basically eliminated the emissions on the computer. Disconnected the fuel line, set that aside, and then the cover kind of just slides right off. Now, inside of this engine, it's pretty crusty, and the solution to that will be using maybe automatic transmission fluid or seafoam in the oil closer to the oil change, and that will allow me to slowly clean that crud out of there. So it'll be a work in progress, and it'll take a while for it to clean up, but it's working as it is. I'm not upset about it, for sure. I mean, it's an older engine, and it did sit for, well, 15 years, 16 years, so it's sat for a while. Anyway, here's me looking at the crust. I did scrape a lot of it out, so I did what I could. Here I'm cutting the rocker arm bridge. I could have replaced it with another part, but there was no point. I could just cut it. This cutoff wheel was $3. I had the angle grinder as well, and a new rocker bridge. I needed two of them. They probably would have been $15 or so, and then plus shipping. So I actually don't know how much they are. I didn't really even care to look it up. I just cut them. I knew that would work because the other ones just don't have the studs on them. So it wasn't that bad. Alright, so it's all cut up, and I made sure I sprayed it down with some cleaner and got it so that way there was no metal particles anywhere on it. So after it was reinstalled, I had to do that twice, by the way. I started to tap. There's 5 ports, 3 on the passenger side and 2 on the driver's side that you have to tap, and it takes a while. I used a bottoming tap, and luckily my local hardware store had it, so I was pretty happy with that. These holes were originally alignment holes that had little pins in them, and make sure you get those pins out. So, but it's a 5/16 tap and 5/16 coarse tap. So anyway, tapped all the holes that I had to. On the driver's side, the tap didn't go as far down, and I know if you drill them you can go into the coolant lines, and you don't want to do that. That would be very bad. Yeah, that would be bad to do that. You could probably use sealant on the bolts and it'll work, but you just don't want to mess with rupturing a coolant line. So anyway, I tapped the head, all 5 ports, and I did a couple times. I ran it all the way through, and I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get any crap left in there. It was pretty rough to do it. There was a lot of grease in there and crust in there. I mean, I guess it wasn't rough. That's not a good way to put it, but it was a lot of going back and forth with it. But they were all tapped fine, and it's not as daunting as it seems. I feel bad for the guys who have to drill the head. If you have an older CJ, you have to drill the head. So I feel bad for those guys, but I didn't have to do that. Alright, so I decided I wanted to put some high-tack gasket, which is actually aviation forma gasket. It's basically high-tack gasket stuff. And I meant to record it, but I didn't. So I'm just trying to get that stuff to seal up and tack up on there. Now, it didn't work how I wanted it to, so this part you don't have to do. Just skip it. Put the cork gasket on, and then put the valve cover over. I was trying to get it to work properly, but it didn't do what I wanted it to. So, but that was my hope. And I'm just using some acetone to wipe down the gasket tack that I got on the bed tailgate. But I just used those, and I put all the bolts in and allowed it to line itself up. If you're going to do this, do it on the head instead of the valve cover. That cork gasket's so heavy that it just pulls it off anyway the second you turn it upside down. So and here we are with the head, and this is what I'm talking about. I tried to turn it upside down on it, and the gasket would fall off, so I just put it on the head first, and I ended up adjusting the camera. It's too close. But stick it on the head, and then put the valve cover on, and it's kind of a pain to line up all the holes for it, but I did it, so it's not rocket science. Just bolt it down with the required bolts, and put washers on the driver's side. That was kind of a pain to because it doesn't want to sit all the way in, so it's not as deep as a hole. But put bolts in and reattach stuff, put your PCV back on, and if you lost any oil, fill some oil up, and that's how easy it is. It's not rocket science by any means. Pretty easy install. Just kind of takes a little bit of time. And take your time tapping the holes. You don't want to mess it up, and yeah, that would be bad if you like cross something. I actually didn't have the right Allen keys for this. I used to have a set of the 3/8 drive, and none of them fit these bolts because I had a standard set of them, but I didn't have metric. And I don't remember what millimeter bolts they were. I want to say the bigger ones were 8 and the smaller ones were 6, but they didn't fit. My 1/4 inch one didn't fit. That was too big. And then I think it's I don't know which one's under that. I don't remember off the top of my head. I guess I could just do the math, but 3/16. I guess the 3/16 one maybe. But anyway, they didn't fit, so I had to just use metric, the stinky little tool that I had, so for bikes. Anyway, it worked. The head's on, or the valve cover's on, and it doesn't leak, so that's pretty awesome.